Hello everybody and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. It is me, Ash Millman, joined by Josh Brown. Say hello, Josh.
I love that intro. I forget that you do it every single time and it pops me big every single time. Hello Ash, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Josh?
I'm alright, cheers.
Oh, lovely. Well, you'll be even more alright when I bring you this spicy, hot, tasty piece of news, which is on The Witcher 4 and what we could potentially be seeing with that, because everybody loves some Witcher news, and basically the idea of Ciri coming back has been brought up again, which is very exciting. One of the principal writers for the Witcher series, called Jacob Samalek, please forgive me if I pronounced that wrong, has spoken in an interview with VG247, who has basically brought up the idea of Ciri coming back and just quoted on some stuff about how he wishes he had more time with us. So I'm going to read you this quote and then we're going to go from there, which is, "I regret we didn't get to explore Ciri's past a bit more. She's such an amazingly rich and complex character. Due to obvious reasons, well, she's pretty much gone for 2/3 of the game. She didn't get quite as much screen time as the writers would have liked. But hey, maybe it's something we'll get back to in the future." Now, the future could be The Witcher 4. What do you think, Josh?
I think it's got to be The Witcher 4, Ash, because, right, The Witcher 3 is 5 years old, which makes me feel very old, and I've been replaying it, actually, coincidentally, just to mark this anniversary period, and I have been loving it. I put another 60 hours into it from start to finish, finished the main story, and fell back in love with Ciri, and I want her to lead her own game, like, and the way they're talking about it in this interview, it's quite it's a really good interview. Like, if you're a fan of The Witcher 3 or the series in general, you should check it out, because it's quite honest and quite open when it comes to what they wish they could have included in the game, the things that they didn't get around to doing, what they still like 5 years on. But then, like you said, they get very coy and kind of very defensive when it comes to talking about Ciri and the series' future. You mentioned that quote there, where they tease about getting to it in future games, and they also mentioned that I think the interviewer asks whether they would like to make a Witcher game with Ciri as the lead, and then the writer just fires back with, "Well, would you want to play a game with Ciri as the lead?"
Yeah,
so
reading that made me so mad. I was like, you can't just end the question there. You can't ask him more about that. Where's the rest of the question?
I know, there's no follow-up to it.
Would.
They just leave that hanging. I need official confirmation, because like you said, this has been teased for quite a while. Pretty much ever since the end of The Witcher 3, became widely known after everyone finished it, because it ends, at least in one of the endings, with Ciri kind of forging her own story. She spent so much of her life being kind of puppets in a game and sought after by a bunch of powerful people, told that she needs to kind of fulfill her destiny or whatever. And the game ends with her kind of rejecting all of that, saving the world, and then finally becoming her own person, which is the perfect leaping point to another game for me personally, because as much as I love Geralt, his arc is more or less finished in The Witcher 3. And I think he might, come back in some capacity, because it kind of would be strange to have a new game without him at all. But for me, the natural progression is having Ciri as a character, especially because, like they mentioned, there is so much from the books and from what CD Projekt thought up that just didn't make it in the game. And I think going back through it, you see that as well. Her sections are fun, but they're not as complex as they could have been. And I think they mentioned in the interview as well that there were sequences planned that didn't make the final cut, like an ice skating sword fight, which sounds absolutely mad, and I need to see that in The Witcher 4.
No, the ice skating sequence I spoke about was really interesting. It was just like a little throwaway thing. I've got the quote here, excuse me, also to look away for it. It was about the ice skating. I've literally lined up so many quotes here, just in case you don't want to talk about them. But yeah, it was basically talking about the motion capture being quite difficult. I can't find it now. We plan to have a sequence where Ciri fights enemies on a frozen lake while skating, a reference to a similar scene in one of the books, and then speaks about how it was difficult to get the motion capture, so they cut it out. And they also spoke about some of the time hopping sequences, that they wanted to do different things with them and have NPCs in them, but didn't quite do that. But yeah, there's loads of stuff that they could have packed in, and the stuff they could have done with Ciri is the most interesting of all of them. And I think with the new TV series coming round and seeing a lot more of young Cirilla and all the stuff that goes on in her life that builds her into the person that she becomes, that we see later in the game as a more grown-up person, it's just so interesting. I would love to see more of it. I think she's a great character. I think she's an interesting character, and a fully fleshed one at that. Like, to have someone so well-rounded that you want to spend this much more time with is a gift. And I think CD Projekt Red buying into that and going, hell yeah, we'll give you some more of this, would be an excellent choice for them. And Ciri, yeah, just wonderful. Just wonderful. More, inject it into my veins. I love Ciri.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think they made a smart decision in The Witcher 3 by already entrenching her in this world. Like you said, obviously they took a lot of that from the books, but a lot of the side characters she's already familiar with, all good friends with. Like she's already got a relationship with Dandelion and Yen and stuff like that. She's very much a central part of this whole world. So if you have another game with her, you could bring all of that great stuff along, and it would make sense. It wouldn't feel forced. It would feel natural to have those relationships still there and those characters still there and those settings still there. But like you said, she's got the added element of being able to jump around through dimensions and stuff, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities and exciting kind of avenues to explore. Because I know there's a big rumor that one of the places she mentions in The Witcher 3 is actually the world of Cyberpunk 2077, which going back through, I picked up on it. I didn't pick up on that the first time around, and I thought that would be so cool. I want to see more of those dimension hopping shenanigans. So yeah, I do feel like... Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying they absolutely have to put her in, like, Cyberpunk as an Easter egg. They have to, please. Yeah,
110%. And that sort of, I guess, nicely leads us on to the question of when we actually will see The Witcher 4, because they have their hands full with Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously, that's going to drop this year, but then I feel like their next game has to be a Witcher game. They've teased it for so long. Yeah. I'm sure somewhere in CD Projekt Red, there is a small team working on concepts for the game, which is why they have been kind of so coy talking about it. And the fact is, I mentioned it briefly at the beginning, but it makes too much money. The other news story alongside this is the fact that, apart from Ubisoft now, CD Projekt Red is the other biggest publisher in the entirety of Europe. I think it's worth $8 billion now. And The Witcher 3 continues to make money. That is a franchise people absolutely adore and has exploded into the mainstream. So a follow-up has always been inevitable. And I think we're starting to get to the point where Ciri is nailed on as the main character, because I don't know who else you would do, like, in order to keep it The Witcher still.
Yeah, I think the other option that I would really like to see in the Witcher world would definitely be like building your own Witcher from the ground up and going back to harking back to the olden days, like the Cataclysm of the Spheres and all that sort of thing. Going back to maybe that sort of time where all the magic came into the world and all that sort of stuff. That could be interesting. But I think Ciri is definitely like number one choice, the most interesting person you could follow, who, like you say, has established herself with all these connections and relationships that would make it a real natural movement for them to incorporate her into this big new story. I think they have said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have said they're going to work on The Witcher 4 like straight after Cyberpunk's out. They're like, right, now is Witcher time, baby. So hopefully that comes out quite soon afterwards. I know they spend a lot of time building their worlds, but as much as I'm happy to wait, I'm also like, give it me, like, need it as soon as possible. It's been so long since I've played The Witcher. I know you say you've replayed it. I think I'm gonna have to dip back into it and just get a little taste. Or get Gwent, because I know that's come around again as well. It's on Steam now. Start getting back into the Witcher world in preparation for this potential 5-year wait for Witcher 4.
That's the thing. I feel like I've kind of blown it with the revisit of The Witcher 3 like right now, because it will be a long wait no matter how fast they get with it, because CD Projekt's worlds are just so kind of rich and dense and full of choice and little details that they take a long time to make. The Witcher 3 took a long time to make. Cyberpunk's going to take a long time to make, but I do think before I move on, I want to say I've never got Gwent. I must have played The Witcher for about 200 hours now. I never got it. I'm not very good at it, and it makes me sad when I can't enjoy this thing that so many other people really like. But
it's a
moving
gift,
on,
man. It's a gift.
Is it a gift?
Like
is it a gift?
Oh, it is. It's like Hearthstone. I loved though all the card games for these things. I just love them. I proper invest my time in them. Gwent. I spent so much time playing Gwent in my playthrough. It's probably why I can't like access all the memories that I have of Witcher 3. It's just because it's clogged up with Gwent. But
it's just because I'm not smart enough.
A separate thing.
Yeah, 100%. I said it's just because I'm not smart enough. That's the biggest problem. But obviously, so many people love it, and it's its own thing, and it's its own successful thing. So that will tide you over, going forward. I do think, as a final note, this interview was really revealing and interesting. Looking back on The Witcher 3 and looking on the things that they couldn't do, like the things that they wish they implemented. Because for as big as The Witcher 3 is, it does deviate from the other games in the way that it approaches storylines, I think, while there is still choice there. I think in the second game especially, kind of put a heavy emphasis on having mutually exclusive paths. So you make a decision, you get one storyline, and then you're, restricted from the other way it would branch, and you have to go through the game again to appreciate the other way. The Witcher 3 doesn't have much of that, and that is something that they mentioned in here, that they that they thought they fixed with the DLC expansion, Blood on the Wine.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's very good. And they mention, the writer mentions that to them, to CD Projekt Red, that is the ultimate kind of Witcher 3 experience. That is them taking everything they learned during the development of the base game and firing on cylinders, making a world that has more interesting random encounters, a better structure to the quests, and more impacts and consequences for your decisions. So I like that they're kind of talking quite frankly about where they've been and where they've ended up and the mistakes they made along the way and how they're rectifying them in upcoming games. It's made me really excited for Cyberpunk 2077, and I was already really excited for that game.
Yeah, definitely. Cyberpunk 27 coming up. So 2070. I got so fast, just contracted it into one number. Cyberpunk coming so soon is so exciting. I keep seeing like little posts about it from people and people hyping it up, and obviously it's getting closer and closer and closer. I'm ready for it. We should be in Night City right now, and we're not.
Should.
So I lament it. I lament this loss. But yeah, you let us know what you think about the Witcher series and whether you want to see Ciri in it and what you want to see in the future. Are you excited for Cyberpunk? Because we sure as heck are. I have been Ash, and you can find me on Twitter at Ash Millman. This has been Josh. I'm stuck in my wires here. This has been Josh.
Lovely. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Broom with 2 O's. I didn't know you were going to end that sentence. I didn't know if you were going to introduce it, Ash. You were stuck in your wires. I was very confused.
I got caught up in this wiry mess, but yeah, this has been WhatCulture Gaming with Ash and Josh. And yeah, let us know what you think, and come back again soon because we're pumping out loads of lovely gaming videos that you can come and watch. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you think. See you again soon. Doing the outro, doing all the things into one. Goodbye.
You nailed it. You nailed it, mate. It was so good.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.